Oh yes, more wiring shit. Hang on, let me tilt you. You need to be tilted a little bit more, I think. I'll make sure you can see. Right, I have now been through this again, trying to figure out what goes where. And I had done a couple of misconnections, purely because I didn't have enough light on the subject. And by that I mean I was looking at a cable saying, oh, that's a green, where it turns out it wasn't. It was a light green and green. You really do have to be very careful with these wires, and I've made a couple of mistakes. I'll put my hands up and say that straight away. But, you know, I found them. The thing that I now have hit an issue on, and I also have what I think is going to be the cure for it, is this voltage regulator. As you can see here, these are male and these are female. Well, both of these are female. And yes, you know, I like to see two females together. However, they really don't connect properly. Then my thought was, okay, well, I'll go and buy some right-angled male spades. No, they're like fucking hen's teeth, made of unobtainium, so they're doubly difficult to find. I could not find them anywhere. Ah, crap, I want to crack on with this. I could put some normal straight spades on, like this. I've got those. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. Why don't I just take this off and just trim these off so that these connectors that are on the wiring harness fit? Granted, only one of them is a right angle, but that's not such a bad thing. I do have some right angles and the shields here, or covers, so I might just change that one, purely because I want to make it right. I don't know really if it makes a great deal of difference. It's not like they're going to protrude, you know, terribly, but they put a right angle on there, I think, for a reason. Perhaps, you know, there was some shorting out going on here, or I don't know. So I think I'd rather have two right angles. And my best way of doing that is get my little Dremel, just trim these off until the spade fits, and then call it a day. Yeah, so, you know, the wiring harness is incorrect, or my new voltage regulator is incorrect. I don't know which. I buzz these two green wires out. One green wire has to go back to the fuses, and the other green wire has to go to the oil pressure gauge. Well, this one here, which is in this mini harness that comes, or that you buy, you know, it's just a little wire goes around there and onto the oil pressure gauge here. And then this one, which is in the main harness, so it's kind of logical, and that goes straight back to the fuse box. Those are done now, or they will be. I'll do those in a moment. Then that is this area complete, with the exception again of these two wires, which I'm still procrastinating over as to really what to do with them, because I've changed from ammeter to voltmeter, which means I've lost two connections, it seems. Now, again, I'm probably going to have to buzz these out. I think they go directly back to the fuse box because they're in, I think they're in that main harness, aren't they? Hang on, no, that one is. Yeah, yeah, they're in that. Excuse me a second. You can tell I'm prepared for this. So that one goes into that harness, which is that. Okay, so these two, they go into the main harness and obviously back to, I would think, the generator, alternator, generator, alternator. So if that's the case, then I've got to check on these two, which are also in that main harness. Ho hum, are they both in that main harness? The brown definitely is. How about the brown and white? Ah, I think the brown and white is this one here. I tell you what, why don't we buzz that out now and see? see what happens. Now I've got this set on buzzy buzzy. I'm not really interested in reading ohms. I just want to know, do I have continuity? Right, so that should work. Can I touch? Oh, that is not that one. Well, that's interesting. Not that. Oh, so this one feeds that. Okay. Let me just try one other thing here. See which this one feeds. No. 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 So that brown must go back to the fuse. This feeds the switch. If that feeds the switch, it's got to get power somehow. Hasn't it? Because brown and white, I believe, and I'll check that in a minute, are power. So if that one gets its feed, then it would get it through the ammeter. I'm going to check and see how it does do it to make sure I can still liven this one up. I think this one needs power to, you know, go to the various lights, etc. Oh, I've just seen something else that gives me food for thought. This one here, this red with the black tracer, that, as far as I'm aware, over here, red with a black tracer, goes to the side light. So I guess you'd turn it onto side lights. Ha, interesting. All right, that's something else to figure out. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked. Yeah, I gotta check that out again. So I've got to check out these browns and make sure, by looking at the old original wiring, how this switch gets its feed, whether it's through the ammeter or a different way. It may be that I need to connect the two browns to the ammeter, so it goes through the ammeter and gives a feed to this switch. All right, something I've got to look at there. Sorry, you were probably seeing a lot of my head there because I was getting in the way. Also now, I have discovered Mr. Kokaliki on my carburetors. So that's going to be another little thing. But let's get the wiring... Sorry, that's just my multimeter switching off. Let's get the wiring sorted out here. And maybe even sorted out over there. Okay. Time to shut you off for a second. Okay, just a little sidestep here, because I've had to have my carburetors apart. Just want to give you a couple of things that I've done, and you may or may not choose to do them. That's obviously your choice. First and foremost, without this piece on the bottom here, which is the jet, this slide would not slide up and down properly. And what it is over the period where it's been sitting idle, a little minor parts of corrosion had set up on the inside of the dashpot and also on the piston. So what I did is I've got a Scotch pad and a little Scotch paddy thing, and wiped around the inside until I was satisfied. And I also did the same on the piston, and that has made a good deal of difference. The method I used to get this done was put the I don't even want to call it, the bit where the dashpot bit goes in, put that in a drill and spun it slowly and just held the scotch pad on it, and that took it off nicely. You've got to be careful, you don't want to take too much off, otherwise you'll cause damage, and well, then it won't work properly, will it? The second thing was getting the jet lined up correctly. Grabbing your trusty 18mm or appropriate Whitworth, because I lay odds this is Whitworth, put it on there and loosen the nut. Then get the jet, slide the jet on as far as it'll go and tighten the nut up. Then the jet is centered. Yeah, how about that? Nice and easy. Then put everything back together, double check its movement to make sure. One other thing you may want to note, I changed the screws on my dashpot. I didn't like the ones that were on there and I wanted to put some stainless steel ones on. They are actually fractionally smaller diameter, so you have to be careful and make sure that you get the pot centralized. If you use the original screws, it should be okay, and it should seat exactly in the right place. It should, but just be careful of that. The other thing that I did is, I'm still testing again. I filled this up last night with petrol, and it seems to be holding. It's up to you whether you do this. I just think it's a good idea because now I'm pretty sure that I have no leaks, and that is something that is rather annoying, isn't it? If you put it all on there and you've got leaks, you've got to take it all off. Of course, sod's law, this one is a real pain in the ass to do, and I must admit I did do a slight bit of cheating. I used some special fuel resistant sealer on the aluminium washers and also on the fibre washer, just to give me that little bit of extra hope that it won't leak. Okay, now let me put this thing back together. Then, I've got to do my little, wherever it is gone. I can't see it at the moment. I'd probably put it somewhere safe. I get the voltage stabilizer back in. I did a bit of a change on that, and I'm rather hoping that it works. So I'll show you that when I put it in. I do have to change one of the ends to make it a right angle, and then that should cure that voltage stabilizer problem, because I had two wires that were, well, they're the wrong sex. You know, it's trying to put a female on a female, and that doesn't work. You can't get it to function properly that way. So I needed to change it to a male, but instead I did sorry, my mind goes off on a tangent quite often. I did it, actually there's a transgender on it. I trimmed the female so it was a male. Oh God, I'm so sick of that shit in the news. All right, let's get on and get that done. I mean, I can switch it back the other way as long as I don't damage it, but I believe that's how it should be, that these two here, as they were to two, oh, excuse me, are green 12-volt input straight from the fuse and 10-volt output going off to the instruments. There you go. That's just that little thing. Oh, and I put a dab of solder on there just to make sure it was a good connection. This one's good and tight, but this one wasn't, so I just gave it a quick. All right, on with some more wiring. Okay, I'm not quite sure what happened here. For some reason, the sound disappeared. British Fasteners, they're in New York. They do a terrific job of supplying 2BA stuff, and I have bought a fair amount from them. So if you need 2BA stuff for your car, these are the people to go to. They do lots of other stuff, but I just needed some 2BA. At this point, I'm pointing at the bolt. I thought I'd ordered an inch bolt, and obviously I didn't. I ordered 2.5 inches, but that didn't matter because in the end of the day, they're all the same price. Okay, onward and upward. Finally, this vent is finished. The screws, nuts and washers I ordered arrived today. Unfortunately, it's not fully flush, and in all honesty, I don't know why. I am not going to struggle with it anymore. I live in Arizona. I don't care if it doesn't seal. The worst that can happen is a little bit of air will get in there. If water gets in there, it drains straight out there as a drain. There it is. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm disappointed it doesn't shut all the way down. I honestly don't know why, and I'm not even going to try and find out why. It can just sit like that. It is a little crooked, but you can only spend so much time. Once I've got the car complete, then maybe one day I'll spend God knows how long trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Now, back to wiring. Let me just undo this. Sorry, talk to yourself for a minute, will you? I have been trying to trace these wires out. Gosh, okay, there we go. All right. And what have I discovered? Well, sorry, let me get these thumb screws in for the moment so I don't lose them, because I know I will. It would appear that down on the starter there should be two brown wires. There's none. It would appear, and I'm going to confirm this, I'm going to go over my thoughts twice, that these two brown wires should be joined together. That will then send the supply down to the starter, via the starter solenoid, of course. Brown and whites. There is, oh crap. Forget it, I'm going to come back to this, I'm sorry. There's too much shit buzzing around in my head with the brown and whites. This brown and white here, this brown and white here, this brown and white here, the two brown and whites on the fuse box, the brown and yellows, the browns, another brown and white. There is so much, and I tell you what, I am seriously thinking I'm going to take the bloody voltmeter out and put an ammeter in, put the original ammeter back in, because that appears to be used by many people without problems when they switch to an alternator. And I'm having not much fun trying to figure out how to connect these fuckers, whereas those will go straight across to the ammeter with these, and I think that would then cure my problem. Let me dig out my ammeter and then we'll have a look and see. Good God, it shouldn't be this difficult, but when you start fucking around and changing things, I guess it gets that way. All right, put your finger out your ass, go do some shit. Okay, and here is the back of my original ammeter, and I think this is what I'm going to put back in. It seems to be a lot less trouble. Here I have one terminal, well, one or the other, don't know which one yet, for the brown with a white tracer, and the other one for a brown. Then on the other side I have the same, one for the brown and one for the brown and white tracer. So I think pretty much that's what I'm going to do. I'd restored this to look pretty, and I see no reason not to use it, because I'm just having too much trouble trying to figure out how best to wire this voltmeter, and it means a lot of hassle, and well, simply put, I cannot see a reason not to do it.